Good morning. Good morning. This is the Fitness Report radio show brought to you by the Fitness Representative. We got two guests today and we got a wonderful show on the way. We are in the midst of what was a huge tragedy weekend. And what we want to start off doing is just from the jump. We want to give a 24-second moment of silence for the victims on the helicopter out in Calabasas that included Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna. And we just want to pay our respects to them by giving them a 24-second moment of silence, starting now. All right, all right. We just wanted to put that out there because as inner city kids on up to adults, everybody at this table is a ball player.
Oh yeah.
Everybody at this table is a ball player, and we always want to shout out anything dealing with our people for one, and for two, seeing that was such a huge tragedy, there's no way we can just brush right through it as if it was over, as if it's over. So
True.
part of the reason that the show became even more special today is because we want to reflect on things that mean something and other things that don't. So when we think about the situation that happened over last weekend, I'm pretty sure we were all somewhere doing something. And when we heard the word, we're not his close friends, we're not his teammates and his family, but then again, we are.
Yep.
And the way that it touches people and have touched us, it lets you know right off the bat that our connection to him was a little bit deeper than what we might have thought before it happened. Because I'll be the first to tell you, I wasn't a huge Kobe Bryant fan.
We're gonna talk about that too.
And I had my ways about it just because he was a copycat.
Right.
Okay.
Like I said, we used to call him Kobe Cat.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he took all my man moves. But you know that changes when reality strikes and you get those phone calls and those messages and you're somewhere when things happen. But we want to jump right into it. And the main question of the day, which is what I got from the people, period, is we gonna go into it. We just want to know why. We just want to know why it hurt and why did it feel like it did out the blue like that. But before we do, we're gonna go into a few things and we're gonna jump right into that topic. That's an important topic today, and it's gonna really lead into what our main discussion is. But first, what we got here is the fitness representative tip of the week. And it goes right along with life's experiences. It goes along with how you affect people and how you deal with others. So the TFR tip of the week is to inspire the world. To inspire the world. We want to inspire the world in every way that we can. And I want to get you guys' opinion just in a statement, in one statement, to inspire the world. And I'll start with you, Titani. To inspire the world, what would be where would you start? What would you do to inspire the world? Give me one thing that you would do to inspire the world.
For me, it's loving people for where they are in their lives.
Loving people for where they are.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what.
No matter what. Meeting them where they're at and loving them where they are.
All right. What about yourself, Fred? How would you inspire the world?
Oh man, I'm always big on vulnerability, and I think the more vulnerable we are, the more that it brings people in, so that guardedness is down. And once you're not guarded, we influence each other more than we think we don't.
Yep.
That's 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the way that I would want to continue to inspire the world is to give people a reason to be open, to open themselves up so that they show who they are and that they are vulnerable and that they can show you the complete reason that they're on this earth, show you their purpose. And once their purpose is revealed, they basically got their marching orders and they can go about life in a way that is really helpful to others. So that would be my way of inspiring the world. And also, next, we want to go into the TMH Mind Your Mental. Mind Your Mental is basically a tip given for those who really just need that mental boost, that emotional boost, something to end the week off with and just go into the weekend on a high note.
Well, I want to use this opportunity to kind of piggyback on the Kobe Bryant situation in terms of the mind your mental tip for today. And that's simply to live your life. That is my mental tip for the week. And, we live day to day with tasks, responsibilities, to-do lists.
Mhm.
And it takes so much mental energy to get through the day that we don't realize that our time on earth is limited. Right?
Right.
Life is simply too short, right? Life is too short to not see the world. Life is too short to hold on to hurt. Life is too short not to do all the things that you want to do. All right. And so I tell people, start that business, lose weight, take that trip, do whatever it is that you've always wanted to do because our time is limited. And that's not to say that we won't have responsibilities,
Mhm.
trials and tribulations, obstacles that we are going to face, but we cannot let those things keep us from living our life to the fullest.
Right. And that's a great point because it's usually not yourself that limits you.
Yes.
It's usually because of outside sources getting into your mental and emotional
Mhm.
stream
Mhm.
that makes you think that you can't.
Exactly.
That's a good one, and especially with we got a lot of stuff coming up. We got like All Star Weekend. We were just talking about that. We
Mhm.
got Black History Month.
Yes. TMH Man
Mhm.
Cave.
We got
Kick off this weekend.
Shameless plug.
Wait, no, it's coming. It's
I
coming.
know.
Yeah.
So
CHM
we
this
got
weekend.
two things coming, and we're gonna put them out there before we even go in there. First off, we got the Black History Month online fitness challenge, which starts tomorrow. First day going through February 28th, put on by none other than the fitness representative.
Nice.
That will be going until the 28th. You still have one day to sign up. We got a good sign up number as of right now, but it's always good to have more. So what we're looking to do here is basically see how much weight y'all can get rid of over a 28-day period. You can call it what you want. You can call it water weight. You can call it
Man, I
fat.
might
You can call it
float
what you
away.
want. But you got 28 days to put it out there. And to put it out there also, like they said, next week, what we got going on?
So next week is our TMH Man Cave, Mind, Body, and Sports. We're going to be
Mhm.
talking about the effects of masculinity and athletics on mental health. I encourage all the men to come out. We are on Eventbrite, so you can register there. But even if you don't register, please come out. We'll be at 1200 East 79th Street from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And we're really excited.
Right. It's gonna be a great event, y'all.
Oh yeah.
We got the host right here,
Yes.
Fred Long. He's gonna be putting us through a series of questions. Of course, I'm one of the panelists, and we're gonna get a phone call any second now from another one of the panelists,
Mhm.
Yes.
Khalid Scott. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna go into. We're not gonna really get. Of course, we're not gonna get into the man cave because we're saving that for the actual man cave.
Yes.
But the topic that we will discuss today is going to be equally important, and we want to get the take from the professionals when it comes to where we sit and how we can affect those who are basically within what's going on as far as athletics, sports, masculinity, and just what it is to be a man through all of this and to be comfortable or even strategically uncomfortable during this time.
Mhm.
So, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go into the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. And like I said, first thing we want to discuss Kobe.
Okay.
We want to discuss Kobe, and we wanted to know. And I've been getting this question, and I've been getting this statement throughout the week since Sunday. Why did it hurt so bad to us, not knowing him personally, not being on his team, not even being a fan of him at times, not even rooting for his team? Why did it hurt so bad to us? Give me y'all take on that.
Well, I think it's twofold. So when we talk about why people responded the way they responded to Kobe, and particularly, as a clinician, I've been dealing with this all week with my male clients. And what I'm hearing is they felt blindsided. They felt like they lost a brother because it was so unexpected.
Family member.
A lot of them talked about how they feel like they grew up with Kobe. Usually, when a celebrity dies, I think a lot of times people may grieve because they feel connected to them. It reminds us of our own mortality, depending on the age of the person. Kobe was so young, right? And a lot of us are in that age group. And so that affects us, right? So I think that's part of it too. And the father aspect, he died with his daughter along with the other victims. I think that's a big part of it as well too. And people,
kids died also.
right? And whether you like basketball or people, just Kobe was just relatable for some people, not just black men and black women, people all over the world. So I think
true.
that's a big part of it.
Yeah, man. A lot of folks, yeah, I've always fought for Kobe in this city.
Big Kobe fan right here.
Since day one, coming from Lower Marion, it was just something about him as we talk about that copy Kobe or Kobe copy.
Kobe cat.
Kobe cat is that, I mean, you always, I mean, I'll get to kind of my affinity, with him and then the implications of that in terms of the emotions behind it.
Right.
Is, you all, we in this it's MJ, that black cat, you understand, and it always will be. But when he retired, he left such a void, because he retired twice, and then we're just used to a certain level of excellence.
Yep.
And so, go ahead, G.
Caller, state your name.
Hi, this is Khalid calling in.
How you doing, Khalid? So
I'm good.
you called in at the right time to join in on our topic, and we're gonna have you on for the rest of the hour.
Okay.
And right now we're in the midst of our discussion on Kobe Bryant, and we're just gonna go ahead and turn your volume down.
Okay, done. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so what we were speaking on, and we're gonna let Fred finish. We were speaking on, and we're gonna come to you next. So we were speaking on why this tragedy hit home so hard and why it hurt so bad to see such a tragedy from someone that we really didn't know or thought we didn't know until we felt it 1,000 times over as it happened.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So continue, Fred.
Yeah, I think it's just, with the whole Mike piece and, because he came in, almost as a villain because of the comparisons to Mike. But in this city, that's the level of excellence we had. And for him to strive towards it, I always kind of equated it to, I'm glad he wasn't trying to emulate Harold Miner.
Exactly.
You understand?
Yeah. That's a perfect way to look at it.
Right.
So that alone attached me to him emotionally, right? And so in everything that came with it, whether the shortcomings, all of that stuff, and then we seen his vulnerabilities, and he never ran from them. Unlike Mike in some situations, right? Mike was more guarded personally and emotionally. Obi was like out front, you understand? And so I think that for me resonated. And then as I look now with my kids, because I found out through my son, I was in the restroom, he come banging on the door and he was crying. And I'm like, my son doesn't do that. And he knows he's my son, so he knows my affinity for Kobe. And naturally, I think instinctively and genetically, that emotion translated into him and my daughter. And they were crying, and I was like, and he said, Kobe passed. And I was like, man, you tripping. Like, slow down. Like, I'm trying to get them together. It's almost like a
you didn't
crisis,
believe it, right?
Or just it's my kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, this is my
See
kids,
them going
man. It's
through.
my city. Like, I thought somebody was trying to break in our house.
Wow.
So, because I'm in the restroom, right? And they're banging on the door. I'm like, yo, what's up? My wife wasn't there. So, man, my daughter banged like 2 minutes later, like, come out. So I'm like, man, what's popping? And then I was like, yo, just kind of calm down. Let's clarify something. I don't know if this is like everybody did, right? You couldn't find anything.
Right.
So it was a period of probably about 3 to 5 minutes where I was in denial, emotionally. But my son was like, in it. So I'm like, damn, this is a crazy situation. And from there, it was almost, categories of or levels of frustration and emotional turmoil, because once you found out it was not just Kobe, then people was talking about Rick Fox. And it was like all of this of his kids. So it's like you're going through a roller coaster of emotions as information has been disseminated. And so
it was like everybody was, because even for me, when I was finding out, I had clients texting me like, did you hear what happened? Like, it was surreal. And I'm trying to grasp it, you know what I mean?
And that's the part, I think that's the part that hit everyone when they found out that it was him. For one, And as they started to find out more and include more people, the tragedy turned into something outside of sport.
Yes.
Mhm.
This is a tragedy no matter who you, if you'd have heard that about people that were unknown, you would still have felt
Right.
for that.
Yes.
As you learn more of
About what happened and the way that it happened. I think that's a
Exactly.
big part of this, that it wasn't like anybody, it was something tragic just happened all of a sudden. I think that was part of it.
So Khalid, the question that was posed was, what made you feel, or what made the world feel so much hurt and pain over who a lot of people felt like was the villain, or was not as liked, or not as celebrated as they could be. So what's your take on that?
Well, the thing is, we're still human beings, and I think we live in a society that tells us to forget that part of us, that
Right.
we're human. You know, we have feelings, we have emotions. And the thing about celebrity and idolizing people who motivate us without us knowing them personally, you know,
Exactly.
who tell us that you can have this wonderful life if you put in the commitment that I did. And when we see that these superhumans that we look up to are just as human as we are, then it gives us that reminder again that, wow, if it can happen to him, it can happen to me.
Us, yeah.
Because remember,
Exactly.
they're fantasy to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And when it's fantasy, like any superhero movie, they keep living. They
Yep.
keep moving. Superman moves the kryptonite out his way and he keeps flying. So then when a heroic figure like that dies, and dies suddenly and dies tragically, then it's like, oh God, I'm human. Wait a minute.
Brings us all
Yeah,
together
brings-
as that, as humans.
Right. And so I tell people, you got to feel the feeling.
Yep.
You know, when something tragic happens, it's normal to have a variety of feelings, to be sad, to be anger, to have despair, to be confused. Then on top of that, because we heard that one part that he died, then his daughter was with him.
Right.
So if you know me, I'm the closest person in my life is my daughter.
Yes.
So Sunday, I start getting phone calls. Khalid, did you hear that he died and he was with his daughter? And what
Yeah,
happens is
fathers
because,
got that.
right,
Yes.
because folks often see me post my post with my daughter. And I'm a dark skinned, 6-foot guy. My daughter is fair skinned, long hair, so she kind of looks like Gianna. So people was like, Khalid, I thought it made me think of you and Anaya. And when they kept saying that to me, because I wasn't a Kobe fan, now I became more empath with
Exactly.
him.
Wow.
Exactly.
And can I just add that this was bittersweet for me, because to see so many men openly express themselves, it's almost like America finally gave black men permission to grieve and to be sad. It's almost like we acknowledge that you all are really human, right? And so for me, it was bittersweet. I'm like, finally, because you all have feelings too. And so it was sort of bittersweet for me in that aspect.
Yeah.
To see that.
Yeah, and to add to that, I mean, the flip side to that is, yeah, you've seen it play out because it was Kobe.
Right.
But this is what I always say: black men do this all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was just going to add that.
And you know, it's just not it's not captured right on a grand stage. And I that's why I committed to, for one, coming to the show and agreeing to do this with Tanny, because I'm not a licensed clinician. You know, I'm trained probably right up until you get to being licensed.
Right.
But
Definitely.
I don't want to be a clinician either,
Right.
but I understand the importance of it. And black men that I know are in these spaces frequently.
I think the biggest
Right.
difference is that this happened in front of the world to see. And a
Yes.
lot of times when black men, because it's our focus, go through things, we're in these enclosed spaces and we don't have that space. But because this affected everyone, white folks included, it's almost like now it's okay, right? When it should always be okay. You know what I mean?
But
And we're gonna make it okay.
This is the thing. Our next question over this topic, before we move forward into the main discussion, is, and I want you guys, because this segs perfectly right into the next question. What makes it okay for black men in sports? Because if you think about it, like you just said, this happens every day.
Yep.
We're very emotional, and that's the good and bad side of us.
Yeah.
That's why we're out here killing. That's why we're out here doing great things.
Yep.
That's the reason for both sides. We're not mechanical. We're not robots. We are very emotional and we're very much human. But the world does give us a pass when we're public figures. So my next question, why is it okay for men in sports? These macho superheroes, like Khalid said, these macho heroes, what makes it okay for them to grieve publicly and able to put their feelings out there versus the rest of society? Because we saw it this past week. Everyone's crying on TV.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that unless it's someone like Kobe.
Right.
So how is it that that's okay versus everything else?
I think it goes back to my point because it affected the entire world. And so when a larger part of our society is affected by something, we know then everybody wakes up, right? Think about the opiate crisis and how until it started to affect white America, nobody cared that our mothers and daughters and fathers and brothers were
Ain't
dying
going
because of
through
the
this.
drug use, right? So it's the same thing here, that it's affecting everybody. So I think that's part. I don't know if Khalid, I don't know what you think about that.
Right. Well, I ditto your sentiments.
Okay.
And I think that the caveat is, again, when it's a figure,
Okay.
it is said that whatever this person does is legitimate. So if they are doing this and we view them as being our heroes, our our go-to, our role models, and if they are okay with crime, then we can be okay with crime.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Like that's part of the permission.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes, that's the perfect word. It gives us permission. Now, in another week, you better stop crying.
Mm.
I don't want to hear this no more.
Wow.
Because now, and as you see, now we start talking about Kobe the rapist.
Yes.
So Sunday,
Couldn't
Sunday
wait.
through
Couldn't wait.
Wednesday, we got time to mourn.
Right.
Now, let's look at for who he really was. Let's look at. So you only got this small window to grieve. You better get it in, because next Monday you better man up. And see, that's when it's the problem.
Okay.
Yes.
Because you all know the cycles of grief. You know, it's the denial, it's the anger, it's the
bargaining,
depression, the bargaining, and then acceptance.
Yep.
But nobody is supposed to put a timeline on when you're supposed to go through those.
Exactly.
It's based on your race,
That's
not
right.
my race with it. And but society's going to tell us, you got to cheer up now. You don't whine about it enough. And this is where we got to start giving ourselves permission. I have a group of male friends. When they come, and when you're a social worker 9 to 5 and from 5 to 9.
This is true.
You know
Not
what
me.
I'm saying? You like Walgreens. You know what I'm saying? So what happens is my buddies come over to my house because I'm the bleeding heart. I'm the goody guy. So but when they bring their black selves to my couch in my house, that's when I see the tears and the vulnerability. But as soon as they walk out my front door, that mask gets put back on.
Yeah,
my house is a refuge where my boys can come and be who legitimately they want to be, but they know as men we got to go back out there with our armor on. I want them to say I can take that armor off if I ain't in Khalid's house.
That's going to take the work.
Yes.
That's where the work comes in, because this is the part where us as human beings can come together if we take the chance to do so, and if we take that opportunity. A lot of times, all we focus on is the opportunity to hide it.
Right.
We don't focus on the other opportunity, and that's the part right there that we can actually bring out by having shows like this. And before we get off that, Fred, I want to know your take on that same question.
Yeah, I mean, you think about, and it's the macho piece. I mean, because folks cry when it's celebration. You remember, we're just going to keep it on sports. When Mike was crying when he lost his father on Father's Day, right? That was an emotional moment for a lot of different reasons. When LeBron was Cleveland, you understand?
Don't say that too loud,
right? I'm just saying, like the emotion that came behind that, or when Garnett won it for the first, anything is possible, right? Like all those moments. So it's not just about grief,
Sadness.
Yeah.
right? So
just
it's
expressing
and it's
emotions.
healthy.
Yeah.
And I think the other part is, and those are macho bravado men, right? In those spaces, I'm quite sure they do that off camera too. And so this is why sometimes even having access, like certain things shouldn't be televised.
I
You
agree.
understand? It's okay to show it outwardly, like you're seeing with Kobe right now. Um, but everything isn't meant to be socialized
Seen.
either.
I agree.
So, but we're beyond that. So we
Mm-hmm.
can't take that back. We can't roll it back. So I think the other part is, regardless, we gotta just teach our young boys. And I have a 15-year-old son now, and I tell him, hey, yo, it's okay to cry, but give me some reasoning behind what's going. We ain't just finna cry about everything, but I want to let you know it's healthy. That's okay. And regardless of, we say society construct us that way. Whenever I hear that now, I take it as that person's not fighting against society. So I never
That's a
want to
great way to
hear
look at it.
that
Yeah.
commentary about what society. You know how many people are fighting against society all the
All the
time?
time.
So I don't want to hear what society says is not okay for us. All right, it's
Mm-hmm.
in our DNA, at least in mine, to go up against that.
Yep.
Like
To be
that's
who
part
you
of my
are.
heritage,
Right.
right? I'm looking at this picture behind me. All of that stuff in Harlem. The pictures in Harlem and the pictures of King Drive and here in Chicago and the black culture. That's in us. That's in my son. He wasn't nowhere even thought about, right? And I
That's a
think
great
that's
point.
genetically in us. And so, I don't care what society says. If I
It's not
won't cry
about
right
that.
now on here, I am.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
understand? So, and the more that we can teach people that instead of having them just see it, because they may not catch it visually,
Right.
right? You got to do this. You got to go in the bush. These
Mm-hmm.
African tribes. You got to take your boys in the bush, and that's where they learn.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
understand?
And these days, it's a mental and emotional bush that you're going into,
Yes.
seeing that we're removed from the country, but we haven't been removed emotionally from our roots.
Yeah.
Nope.
Some of us try our best, but it's hard to
It's
not
there.
be
It
who you
is.
are.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's a job. That's a job. So what we want to do, once again, our condolences go out to the family
Yes.
of those
Salute,
who died.
Yes. Yes.
KB.
The people on the plane,
Yes.
everybody from Kobe
Everybody.
down to the pilot, from Gianna down to her teammate, the
Yes.
parents who lost and left children back home.
Baseball
We're
coach.
grieving for you guys, and we know it's a process, but it's a process that we're gonna have to go through comfortably, without shame, without any type of pressure from the media or society to do anything less than go through our own process. So, like we said, our condolences go out to the family, and we wish the best of love and health to everyone involved, everyone left behind, because a lot of times those are the ones who go through the most.
Yep.
Hmm.
So we want to move on, and like I said, we got two things up. We just want to put that out there again. We got the man cave coming up.
Yes.
Man cave
February
coming up
Yes.
8th.
February 8th.
next week.
Yes, sir.
Be there or be uninformed.
That's right.
Be there or be unemotional. Be there.
Unemotional. My
Unemotional.
man.
I
Be
Yeah.
love
there.
it.
Be there. Be there.
Yes. We're
Be there.
excited. Yes. Yes. Come out.
So what we're gonna do now? We're gonna go into a portion of the same, and it's hitting it from a different aspect, even though it touches very much similar, because it's a tough one for us, especially as brothers. The brothers, like we've been saying this entire time, we're not allowed. We're not allowed, and a lot of times through actions, you just want to be allowed. You're just expressing your frustration
Hmm.
with not being allowed.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So, like I said, we got the professionals here. And we just want to get their thoughts on how we're gonna just go forward and move forward with our mentality about what it is we talking about today. So between myself, Khalid, Fred, and of course the man cave creator,
Hmm.
Miss Titania Harris,
I'm gonna
my
defer to the men in the room though.
this topic,
Great answer,
and
Tim.
we're gonna keep it
Great.
we're gonna keep it sweet. We're gonna keep it short and sweet. But this topic is on the male athlete and mental health. All You go from suicides in sports all the way to different tragedies like this one
Hmm.
today.
Hmm.
You go through different types of postpartum because that's what it is. A lot of it is postpartum career in sports.
Mm-hmm.
It's PTSD that to me being affected by PTSD in a different way, but to me PTSD drove a lot of the reasons why athletes became successful. PTSD was the reason that you didn't want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
That stress is not
Mhm.
just what keeps you down. It keeps
Okay.
you. It makes you successful. Also,
Mhm.
it keeps you striving. Also, so when you think about it like that, and a lot of times you think about retirement, you think about getting away from something that you worked so hard to do that you actually got some accolades and success at when you didn't have it at nothing else. So when you think about it from that aspect, it's very emotional and it's very it could you can have PTSD from your career,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
from your career in sports and your career in life and whatever it is you were so used to doing. So we're gonna go into, and I want to get y'all take on it. Do you guys feel? Because I just said my feeling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you
Definitely.
feel that PTSD plays a huge part in sports and the athlete and why they are who they are, to be so successful and to strive and to just be that man? Do you think PTSD plays a part in that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I would say yes. I mean, now that you frame it that way, um, I think there's these hurdles we have to overcome mentally and emotionally, right? I even put it on the front end. So yes, there's the PTSD of, look, man, I grew up in Roseland. Hey, boy, they banging out there. You understand
Yeah.
me? Sticks, mops. We call them mops too in the city.
Yeah.
All that. You understand? So you want to actually escape it. It's almost you want to move from this kind of war environment. So,
Right.
and
Because
then
it was a war.
exactly, like literally. And if you live in Chicago, you know what that feels like. But put it on the front. And I think about it on the front end too, because most African American men, and I'm doing some generalization here, who live in these neighborhoods or communities or these geographical locations with all that symptomology of we don't even have to get into.
Right.
I can remember, and most, if you just go back, whether you were, especially if you were athletic or you were into athletics or sports, you was going to the league.
Oh yes.
So just think about me now. Now
The league
hear
is
me out
next.
on this. You was going to the league, right? Let's say sixth, seventh, eighth grade, fourth, fifth, even ninth, 11th. And then every year, that hope and that mentality start to dwindle away. And then when it does, there's an emotional detachment you have to have because
Wow.
it's not going to happen.
Right.
And
Wow.
then that's so hurtful to people. You know, understand? You can't deal with that. What am I going to do now?
That's
I look at it from
perfectly
that
true.
perspective,
Yes.
it's like, damn, like we all do. And I don't even know if it's been articulated before, but it is something within African American men who live in these communities like that, who are into sports. You just innately had this idea because we were watching Kobe, watching Mike, man,
Right.
I can get down like that, bro,
I could
too.
do that.
Yeah, no, you can't. But
Right.
is every year that you move forward, you're moving forward towards a decision that's going to be, it's either going to humble you or it's going to take you down a path of mental health
Disaster
issues
and
Right.
destruction.
with no diagnosis. You
Yeah.
understand me? So that's how I look at it. So I say yes and yes. PTSD does have implications in sports, but then there's on the front end, you know, your experience leading you up to that
Right.
That's
or
so true.
setting you
That's
up
so
for that.
true.
So either
Yeah.
way you look at it, because it does go both ways. It could be a
Yeah.
setup
Yeah,
or the beginning of
exactly,
something special on the good side. So
exactly.
now, what do you think, Khalid? How do you feel
Okay.
about that?
Well, let me throw this out. I have this love hate relationship with sports.
I was gonna
Okay,
say
and let
that.
me tell
Speak
you
on it.
why. I'm a mentor. Okay, and I've mentored
Taking my point.
over the last 20 years about 30 young men, teenagers to young adult males. And the majority of my mentees were athletes, grammar school, high school, and college, and mostly football players, right? And the sport, and I understand what it gives a young man. It says you can be accomplished and you can be celebrated because of your athletic abilities.
This is true.
But the problem that Khalid, have with it is that it doesn't tell our boys and young men what to do the day after you're off the field.
Yes.
So kind of going along with what you all are saying.
Yep.
So what happens is, this is the scenario that I've been presented with. I had two of my mentees, males. They were in their mid-20s. Both of them had degrees in criminal justice. Well, at the time, I was a social work program administrator. And what happened was I needed two new caseworkers. And we always try to bring men into social work. So here it is. I got these two young football playing guys, and they're young and they got good spirits about them, and they want to break into the profession, and they got degrees. Well, guess what? They had to do court reports. Okay. When they gave me those court reports, and I took out my red pen, because I was a red pen type of supervisor. I'm a red pen type of mentor.
You're red pen man.
Red pen man.
All right.
You thought I bled on those court reports when you saw all my markups.
Yeah.
And I said, young man, get in here. Get in my office. Explain this to me. Y'all got degrees.
Yeah.
And it was like, one of them was like, well, my girlfriend in college, she wrote all my papers. I said, why? Coach, can they call me Coach? That was their nickname for me. They called me Coach, see? And they was like, because I was a football player. I'm like, and you must have played football in school. I said, sure didn't. So educate me. Educate me. Well, when you were a football player and I was captain of the football team, I didn't have to do all this. Somebody did it for me. The only thing I had to do is have sex with her.
Wow.
I said, your coach didn't intervene like I'm intervening right now. I was winning. Coach, are you kidding? I was winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely that's the situation.
Yeah.
Okay, so then my other one, he said basically the same thing. So then I said, wait a minute, because my image of football life and coaches, I'm seeing all these movies, because again, I'm not living them. The coach loves these young men, invites them over to the house and eats dinner with them and buys them new gym shoes and inspires them.
That's like his kid on some level.
But then you failed my boys, my black boys.
Yeah.
This is true.
So now I got to retrain them at 25 years old. And then not only I got to do that part, the physical part, now I got to do the emotional, mental. Because now I got to make them understand, and I'm going to explain this next week. I'm tired of black men. It's about from the neck down, never about the neck up.
Okay,
that's always been
that.
That's always been the case, and we're gonna go into that heavy once the once the man cave start. Well, no, so basically, I want to know your take on it also,
right,
from the female standpoint.
So I agree with everything you guys said about PTSD. So I won't get into the clinical part of that, but to me, it starts sooner. I think not just as a society, but culturally, when we stop identifying black boys and men just as athletes and entertainers, that's where it starts. Like, I'm sitting in this room with three amazing men who are all accomplished and not in sports and entertainment. Black boys need to know there's something other than sports. And anybody who knows I am a sports fanatic, advocate, but you all need to know that it's more to it than just sports and entertainment. I think that's where it starts, giving young boys an option other than sports. Just because I'm 6'4" don't mean I want to play sports, right? Tell me I can be a social worker. Tell me I can be a fitness professional. Tell me I can be the VP of a big time not-for-profit organization. We don't give our boys options. I think that's where it starts.
And that's where society comes in. And I think as the generations go, we've been trained to do certain things.
Yeah.
And those things are from the neck down.
Yep.
We weren't given that opportunity. And it's tough to go against the grain, even if the grain is no good. It's tough to go against it. So when you're constantly getting that spin from society, and what society celebrates you on looks good also, it's a tough one. It's a
Right.
tough
Right.
one not to.
And I think, just to kind of wrap that piece up is, I think especially it's our responsibility and accountability as elder statesmen to these young boys to not approach them from a negative perspective. They ain't trying to hit at, man. You understand? Now we
Yeah.
can talk it amongst the elder statesmen in our own. We go out here. This is where the vulnerability come in at. They don't see that from us.
Right.
You understand? So I'm very particular even how I categorize how I talk about our brothers. Because
It's
people are
touchy.
doing that all the time. If they see somebody like them that's doing it too, what makes me even want to listen to you, bro?
Right.
Because I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? So we have to figure out how to come, not like we got your solutions. I got a
Yeah.
solution for you, bro. No,
Right.
man.
That-
But this
Like
is
that's
I'm
why
what
very
the man
careful. I
cave
try
to
to
talk
check
about that,
myself.
right?
I try to check myself at all times because I can be a victim of doing that as well. And when we're doing this man cave, and I just want to make sure that men understand that, because we're always saying there's a disconnection. Our young men ain't listening to us. No, y'all ain't listening to them.
Yeah.
It's
You
not
understand?
two ways.
This is why we do
It's
the
just
man
one
cave.
way.
Right.
Right.
So I just want to throw that out there because that's going to be something that I'm going to be standing on, especially amongst older black men and older anybody 24 up in
So,
that
okay.
space.
So what we
Yeah.
want to go with our last and probably one of the most important things to speak on, and we're gonna keep it brief because, like I said, next week we got something big
Yes.
Oh,
going
yeah.
on with the man
You
cave.
see the blood is
So-
boiling
Right. We're
already.
ready.
And that's why it was important to bring that out just a tad, just to like dip in that water a little bit. But the last thing I wanted you guys take on, and we're gonna keep it brief because we don't want to spill it out
No.
versus next week.
Right.
But is it okay? Is it okay to cry, to let your emotions out and tell the world how you feel about something? Is it okay to do that in public?
And as I said earlier, I think it's always okay, and then we shouldn't be asking anybody, "Is it okay?" That's me. But I think your question is rhetorical too. I think it's just to hear that, to hear you. For me, hearing you say that,
It's coming from
it's just
coming from somewhere.
I don't even really want to answer it because as I said, I mentioned it earlier, but I think it makes people contemplate how they answer it. Right? Some
Mhm.
people will be guarded.
That's
or,
exactly why
you
I
understand?
posed it just like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Because it does give you the option to
Yeah.
bring out what you feel
exactly,
or how you feel someone wants you to answer.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. Yep. So for me, I said yes. It's always okay. I don't care who says it isn't. But
What do you think, Khalid?
Well, again, it goes back to when I said earlier that when my male buddies, and these are most machismo men you want to ever meet, they should be on a Marlboro billboard.
Marlboro.
With a cigarette cowboy.
You're showing your age, Khalid.
I ain't seen one of them since Jordan.
When they come into my house, that's when I see the wetness in the eyes, and like they peeling onions. And they shaking because they so stressed out. And so I tell them, you got to get it out. You got to get it out. You got to get it. I tell my daughter all the time, you got to get it out. You got to get it out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the most healthiest outlet to communicate. Because when you communicate how you feel through tears, through telling your fears, what happens is that all that toxicity that you got in you, it goes out. It goes out. It releases from you. And then the person who you might have issues with, they understand where you're at. And then they know where you're at. And then they have a decision to make. And then you have a decision to make. Crying and venting releases you. And it benefits you.
Mhm.
Don't ever hold it in. And
This
now
is
that
true.
I'm, doing private practice, you should see how many referrals I'm getting from black men.
Mhm.
And it's at a high right now.
Yep. That's all
That
I
black
see.
men are like, I gotta go into therapy. It's okay.
It's
They
okay.
still have their wives and girlfriends call me for the initial intake.
and that's fine. That's
Right.
fine.
For some procedures got to stay the
Right.
same.
Yeah.
I always say, tell your husband to call me, but I
Yeah.
can see him.
So
So it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
that's great. Now, what about yourself, Titani?
I'm like Fred. I even hate that this is a question
Yeah, man.
because this is why I created TMH Man Cave, because I wanted to bring awareness to the mental health needs of Black men, right? And erase this stigma. And I can't wait to the day where we don't even think about whether it's okay. I can't wait till Black men feel like I can do and be whatever I want to. I can feel what I feel because I'm human and nobody is judging me. So for me, I go, of course it's okay. It's always been okay. As a clinician, anytime a man comes into my office, the first thing I say is, I am so proud of you. And the look on these men's faces tells me everything. Like, wow, like you didn't even know that it was okay for you not to be okay. And so for me, I go, I can't wait till it's no longer an issue. That you guys know that it's okay to cry and it's okay not to be okay. And it actually makes you more of a man because you do cry.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what? Women got to give us the support.
The space. I was just about to say that we have to, as women, we have to give you guys that space, right?
Speak
I
on
know
it,
as
man.
women, a lot of times, and it's so, I think about a client I just recently had who said, you know why I don't cry in front of my girlfriend? Because she said I was being too sensitive. And it broke my heart because here was a man who was expressing how he felt. So as women, we got to give y'all the space to be vulnerable. We got to let you guys know it is okay not to be okay. And I got your back regardless. I don't look at you less of a man because you're crying. But we know that comes from us being raised that boys don't cry and girls do. So as women, that was ingrained in us that we can cry, but you all can't. But we have to be intentional and say, you know what? It is okay. You have this safe space with me, this brave space, and I support you.
That's a perfect way to look
That's
at
solid.
it. And I'll tell you, it's part of everything else that goes on in the village. When it comes to the village, we all know that the village is all about support. And one thing myself and my mom and dad, we've practiced, for lack of a better word, crying around each other. We've never, I can't tell you the last time we held back a tear when the tear was appropriate for the situation.
Wow.
And that kind of bled through the family and the household because everyone knows that it's okay. So when you feel it, bring it out, whether it's good or bad, break it out, break down, because that breakdown it promises you a better feeling when the tears are done.
Right.
And what it does is after the tears are done, because you can't cry forever, the process of crying starts with an emotion and ends with an emotion. Seeing that those two things change within the time that you're flowing those tears. Once you're done with those tears, you got a job to do. And that's what finishes off the process, the job that you complete because you were so emotional and you channeled those emotions properly.
That's true.
So that's what makes it okay. And that's what makes us able to move forward, knowing it's something that we can naturally do without any type of ridicule.
Right.
Yep.
Another piece, I think, to that, because I think crying is at the extreme end of the spectrum, if you will, of emotion, right? And we're talking about that, but there's a lot of emotions that has that same feeling or feel that people need to get out without even crying.
Without the tears.
Crying is a form of release.
Right. So and that's the other part, because then when folks hear crying, they're just thinking the end of, no, Joe, I ain't gonna cry. But as long as you're expressing yourself and your anger and your hurt or your happiness, I think that's just as important.
Okay. So we're gonna wrap it up.
All right.
And like I said, we got something big coming up next week. So we want y'all to join us.
Come check
at
us
the
out.
Woodlawn.
Yes, the Woodlawn next Saturday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. The TMH Man Cave, Mind, Body, and Sports. Come out, man. It's going to be a great time. I'm excited for all of our panelists, Khalid Scott, Jabori Partee, Corey Mays, and of course our amazing moderator, Fred Long.
Mays.
Yes,
what's up, Corey?
we're excited. We are super excited. So come out. It's going to be a great time.
Join us, y'all, and
we look forward to it.
And we shall give you everything you need when it comes to opening up and feeling like it's okay to do so. Much love to y'all. This has been the Fitness Report Radio Show, brought to you by the Fitness Representative. Have a great weekend. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, Gianna.
Yes.
Rest of the family.
Salute. Take
Much
care.
love.
All right.
Nice.